Okay, Peggy, do you have the attendance?
No, you were muted until just now.
Okay. So John's there. We had Josh, and there's Josh, so Rob, Josh, Brenda, Ted, Tom.
And then those, you want people in the audience now?
No, I think as we go through, so we'll do, because there might be different interested persons.
Perfect.
All right, so the first item of business, let's see, we've got permit number 21-405, Emily Spalding, Peter Fraley. Located on Bristol Cliffs Drive, parcel 090158, requesting sketch plan approval for a 2-lot subdivision. I think we're all familiar with this one. Who's coming up, Jason?
I am.
All right. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you, Kevin?
All right. So we're gonna,
So if you want to pull up the PL1.
all right, so this is sketch plan, guys. So all we're figuring out is whether it's got the information or the final plat. It lacks information that should be in the final plat. It's 2 lots, right?
It is 2 lots.
In residential.
2-lot subdivision. We've revised to make a 2.02 acre lot.
Is this one you wanted, Jason?
It is. That's
But
the
it's
PL1.
residential.
It is residential.
All right, so less than 3 lots, 3 or less is 3 or less is a minor, so it's a minor subdivision. So this is sketch plan review. It's our opportunity to review the sketch, and if we have some suggestions for what would be good to show on the final plat approval, or for when there's a hearing scheduled down the road. So there'll be 1 hearing on this one because it's a minor subdivision. Want to run us through, Jason?
Sure. What you're looking at is the actual survey plat. It's a 6.5 acre parcel that is up Lower Notch Road. It's situated just south of Bristol Cliffs Drive. Chris, is that Bristol Cliffs Drive?
Yeah, yes.
That creating a 2.02 acre lot using the northwesterly and westerly part of the property. There's an existing 3-bedroom single family home on parcel now that will remain.
And that's on lot 1.
That's on lot 1,
Yep.
correct? Yep, which will be 4.48 acres in size. When we're also done with the subdivision. 1 common access point off Bristol Cliffs Drive, shared water supply well, wastewater disposal system design. Once things get rolling here, we'll be headed towards final. We'll be able to submit for the state water and wastewater permit.
And so the wastewater for the new house on lot 2 is going to be, where's that going to be?
That is going to be, if you pull up to S1. Chris. That'll be to the north of, maybe the S2. Will be kitchen.
So it's going to have its own septic.
It's going to have its own individual system.
It's right here.
Right in there.
Yeah, I see it. So shared water, shared water supply, individual septics.
That's correct.
Okay.
What kind of soil do they have there? Does it drain well? or-
It's Colton. It's sand and gravel.
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
I also noticed that you are on your description of things that it says that there is no shoreline. Is the edge of the pond swampy?
It's wet. It's a class 2 wetland, but we've honored the buffer, so there's no shoreline in terms of pond or navigable water.
No, well, I was sort of wondering if, because if you will have one, if the families are not related or friends, you're going to have one that can get to the pond. And if it was nice, as they could build a dock on
The
that.
objective here is to have them, it's
Oh, yeah, I knew
the
that.
same family. Yeah.
Well, that can always be done by easement according to, if that's what landowner wants to do. So
Presumably there's gonna be an easement out front too in the driveway,
The driveway
mutual easement.
has a right of way, correct.
So the driveway is actually,
The center of the drive is actually the subdivision boundary. And there's a
okay,
30-foot right of way.
yeah,
That'll be monumented. We're not gonna monument the center of the drive, but we'll monument the right of way itself.
yeah, well, that'll be in the deeds and.
I think it's a solution. We went to a conforming lot. It's a little bit of an ugly lot, but it's a lot. So,
Yeah.
Right.
so I'm, I think this well presents it.
It's an interesting lot.
You
Well,
don't agree by ugly, huh?
No, I mean, it is, because what you've got here is you've got this group here with the wetlands, if they want it. And
Well, it's,
if they really get, when if somebody else buys it and they start arguing, they can always build a fence right there.
Hopefully we won't get to that.
yeah, I think it's not functional space or there's no
all right,
ability
so
to
so
put
this
any
is,
structures on there.
No, not for structure.
this is RA2, right?
Yes.
That is correct.
And they're both single family residences, both permitted uses.
That's correct.
And we've got minimum lot size 2 acres, so lot 2 meets the minimum lot size requirement. And what's the frontage for lot 2 there, Jason? It looks pretty long.
It's all the way on Bristol Cliff Drive, so I think there's line courses all the way through.
You had 563 plus 91 or something like that, so it's a lot. No, 62 and 91.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
more than
With
adequate.
You
150.
got more than the 200 feet.
Yeah. Well over.
All right. Any other questions for sketch plan review? Keeping in mind, this is not the final plat review.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
No questions.
John, Rob,
I would just add that this seems to satisfy my concern by creating a lot that fits zoning in this instance. So yeah, I don't see any problems.
okay. All right, so we don't take action on the sketch plan, so it's a minor, which means we'll have one hearing after Chris warns it and you submit the whatever else is needed for subdivision application, but it looks like you're pretty, no one had any additions for you to what you've done here, so.
That is a survey, so it won't really look that much different.
Right. Yeah. All right,
Thanks.
All right, thank
thanks,
you.
Jason.
Hey, he's up for part 2. Assume you want to sketch one again, Jason.
Yeah, the SK1. You can have that.
All right, so this is permit number 21406. Adam and Amber Thomas located on North Middle Drive, parcel 025112-21, requesting sketch plan approval for a 6-unit planned unit development. All right, and let's get to my notes here, Jason. All right, so this is village mixed.
It is. And we did put together a narrative with a project description.
Yep.
July 6th. I hope everybody did have an opportunity to
Yep.
at least review that.
Yep.
It gives a pretty concise summary of what our goals here with Adam and Amber's goals of the project. So I can just sort of run you through everything. It's a 9.1 acre parcel. It has a 50-foot right of way in from North Street. It is just north of Pine Street and north of the Jackney facility. It also has frontage on Pine Street, so there actually could potentially be 2 separate accesses to the parcel. We can talk about that further.
Oh, way farther to the west.
Yeah, there's actually frontage on
On Pine Street. Yep.
How much frontage is that?
There's 71 feet,
70,
but
okay.
this is based on tax maps. We actually haven't done a
Yeah.
boundary survey yet.
Yep.
That's still to come. As part of, and we put together a master plan for the project. The first phase is to bring a road in off of North Street. There's an existing driveway there now. It would be widened. There's a 50-foot wide right of way. We bring a road in town standards along with town water would come in through there. I didn't get into showing the utilities at this point in time because it is sketch, it is conceptual. And then as you go into the property, there is an area that has a few sort of level and more level terraces. When you come in, you can see there's 2 units when you first come in, and then at the end of the cul-de-sac, there'd be 2 more 3-bedroom units, each with 3 bedrooms. So six units all total in this first phase. That's what we're proposing for phase 1.
So Jason, so that leg out to North Street, that's a right of way?
That is,
And
that's
it's 50-foot width.
it is.
All right.
It's an existing, actually, the right of way is existing. It's 50.
Is
Yeah.
it the one that goes to the D's and that property?
It is.
That is
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That was actually, and I can let Adam speak to that. That was his father's house. And it'll be some sort of a shared wastewater system when we get to that point. Soils are generally okay in this area, but we've got to, once we get through sketch, give some test pits and have all that stuff. In there.
All right, so, but you gotta bring town water down that right away?
Correct.
How long a run is that?
That
Roughly.
400 or 500 feet.
So is that gonna be a town main?
That the town would probably end up taking that over. I hope.
All right, well then, all
It
right.
may be private to start, but
Yeah.
obviously it'd be,
Well,
done to state standards and.
No,
hope that the
yeah,
town would do it.
because it's a sketch plan.
Mr. Chairman, and I guess Jason, are we being asked to take any action with respect to the phase 2, or that's just for our information?
No, obviously we're coming in as a PUD, so
Yeah.
we wanted to give you the whole.
No, I
master plan.
appreciate that, but I didn't think you'd want us to do anything on that right now.
Yeah.
We're here specifically
Phase
for
1.
phase 1.
Right.
Phase 2 is an FYI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and very appreciated.
And it's up in the
Glad
air,
you-
phase 2 is, we have an A and a
And
B.
you have an A
so-
and a B, yeah, I see.
Yeah, no, so, and this is sketch plan, so.
Yeah.
One of the main issue before us is it a minor or a major? If it's an extension of municipal service, it's a major. And given what's ultimately planned here, it'd probably be a major anyway in the board's judgment, but if you're gonna extend water service down that road, that makes it a major, which is appropriate for a development of this size, but and major just means a 2-step subdivision, so preliminary review and then final plat review.
And actually in phase 1, there's not any subdivision, so it's staying as a 9.1 acre. parcel.
Well, yeah, so what's the idea as far as ownership with respect to the PUD structure?
Well, at this point, Adams, we've talked about a couple of ideas. We have similar structures down here where they're rental units. Or a lot of what we can also do is, eventually we may have to come back in and do condo lots if they decide to purchase.
Well, that's one of the things I was thinking about is if it's, the plan is to keep them on basically one lot and one ownership, then it's gonna be a permanent rental.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
there's an amendment
Correct.
that's acceptable, so that's an important.
And that is the proposal right now, is for rentals.
So that's what I figured.
Amendment can, like, in years to come, say 40 years from now, if we did want to sell those, is that what you mean by coming into?
Well, yeah, because the P, if it's structured like this, it's gonna have to say these are all rentals, because there's one owner.
Correct.
And so if you want to do something different, you'll have to apply for an amendment at that time, and whether it works or doesn't work depends on what what the bylaws are at the time.
And there's a lot of
Chris
ways-
will be here 40 years from now. I don't know if we can speculate that far, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't guess.
And there's a lot of things that we can do in terms of with a condo lot where it's just land right around the structure and then it's common land around. So
Right,
there's-
building envelopes.
That's what it
or-
is in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah, or individual small lots. Well, if there's two family units, you're probably gonna have to do the footprint.
You could do a
kind of.
lot that would literally be the footprint of the building,
Yeah,
you know, for each of these and sell those.
But
and
it's
Everything
one
would
building,
become area.
so the lot will have to
Well,
split
yeah,
the
down the
building.
middle.
Yeah, no, that's right.
I'm guessing that's a garage in the middle.
Yeah, that's garages between.
Yeah.
No,
So
right,
that would be a firewall. And
yeah, you could do,
would
no,
want to
it could be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, if you start off like this, which is fine, it's gonna be residential rental.
correct.
And then you
That's
can,
the plan.
yeah, so you can shift gears down the road if your wishes change. Any, so we don't know where septic's gonna be. We're gonna bring municipal water down the road. What's the plan with respect to that driveway? Are you talking to the town about trying to get the town to take that road over?
Not at this point in time, this could be brought up to standard, the town standards, but maybe in the future if it made sense, if it went all the way through, but probably not for a road of that length with just a cul-de-sac at the end.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it's up to the town. whether-
It's actually an easement over the Parker property, Allison Parker property.
Yes.
There is, yeah,
Yeah, that's what it is. It's an easement in that area. Okay.
correct,
It exists already?
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It was probably
wastewater,
sold to them because your father lived there, yeah.
and the wastewater would more than likely be out in some sort of shared or community system out in the field that's on the west side of the property. You can see it's pretty distinct with the orthos.
Yeah,
So it's nice in a case like this where some of it actually behind the buildings, there are trees. There's natural, obviously there's going to be some clearing, but once we get into preliminary and how things lay out on the ground and stormwater and further design, then we can actually get into what sort of stays and what additional plantings have to be done.
Yeah. Well, it does, from the North Street perspective, it does drop down.
It does. Yeah.
And what about from Pine Street? Is it dropping there too?
It
Yeah,
drops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
There's quite a few topo lines there.
yeah,
And they're 5-footers.
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't see the numbers to see whether they were going up or down. I assume they went down from what I know of the area.
Yeah.
Approximately 50 feet.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like a good project to me and the housing is needed, so.
So any other, so it's gonna be a preliminary and then a final. So what's the,
John had a,
oh, hi, John, go.
Hi, just a couple of quick remarks. I would second the opinion, excuse me, that this looks like a great way to extend housing in the village, get some more housing. It's a nice, comfortable layout. Even if you go ahead and do phase 2, there's plenty of elbow room out there. It looks nice. And I think this is probably the case, just double checking that roundabout there at the end, the cul-de-sac, that's of the right dimension to keep the fire department happy.
Yeah, and I believe that's either a 50 or 60. I can't remember what we put on, but obviously that's going to change a little bit, John, when we get into the stormwater and grading and that sort of stuff. So we'll make sure that conforms with all the town standards.
And another thing, which is not necessary at this sketch level, but in the future, when you come back, I'll definitely be looking for some treatment of noise and sound. If we're going to expand the village and have people, live close together, it's important to follow section 751 and 752, which deal with noise and sound. So I hope you'll flesh out that information going forward.
And it is planned to be residential, so it's not, not commercial or light industrial or anything like that.
So what's the procedural plan, Chris, as we sit here today, now that it's etched in stone? As far as their PUD approval, are we going to plan to do that with the final subdivision all at once? Or haven't we thought it through yet? They're gonna need PUD approval.
right, I do that at
And we're
the
gonna-
final, so you'll have preliminary come in with.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
And then do the PUD approval at the final.
Yeah.
sketch plan. I mean, it's final.
Right,
Plat.
we do site plan at that point too? Okay.
There's a lot to do here, so we don't mind coming in with
Yeah.
two step.
No, that's what I want. I want you to be clear, well, all of us to be clear, what's the preliminary, we're gonna look at the subdivision plan, and if you can give us some preliminaries on, you've got more fleshed out with respect to what site plan maybe is gonna look like,
Sure.
and, you know, those kinds of things. It's real helpful to have at the preliminary, but at the final, we're gonna do a lot. So, and that's gonna require a lot of details of things that John's talking about, site plan as well as PUD approval, they overlap.
Yeah, and I think we'll have most of that stuff for you at preliminary.
Yeah, no, that's what I was hoping. Then we can tweak as needed
Yeah.
and flush things out.
I
Rob,
just
you
have
all
another
set?
quick question.
Yeah.
The option B on the second phase, am I reading that right? Is that just basically a single family residence?
Yes.
Or am I-
Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be like that whole lot and just a house or,
That would be Aaron and his wife Amber. They still, or Adam, sorry. Aaron's his brother.
Amber's here the other way. Jeez.
But that's where they're planning to.
Cool. I just wanted to make sure I was reading the sketch right. Thank you.
So when you're coming in for PUD and site plan, it's really just gonna be that phase one.
It is, yeah.
But this is probably the only time we'll look at the phase 2 maps
I
going
mean,
forward.
we wanted to show you,
What might
what the
happen.
options were
Yeah.
coming forward.
Yep.
Obviously, we could maximize the density. I think ultimately we'd probably run out of decent soil.
Yeah, but I think John said.
It fits in, it's well.
Even with phase 2, this fits, that's fine.
Yeah.
And as I said before, appreciate you telling us what you're thinking ahead.
Yeah. No, so all I'm getting, so you anticipate when you come back and forth for preliminary, we're still gonna be dealing with phase one only. We probably
Yes.
won't have any phase two at that
We
point.
probably, but at this point, we're not gonna submit anything with phase 2.
Okay, that's what I was,
Yeah.
that's what I was expecting from what I was hearing. Any other questions for
It's probably obvious, but
Jason?
if you thought you were gonna build phase 2 anytime soon, you could save yourself some time and money by doing it all at once.
Yeah.
But you don't need to do that.
Yeah, well, the choice is between a single family or 6 units.
Or Act 250.
Yeah, right. Well, that's true.
Okay, so
Well, good.
so since this one is still, it's really just still one lot, so since it's six units and an extension of service, I'll move that we treat this as a major subdivision.
Second.
Tom seconds. Any debate either way? Okay, all those in favor of treating this application for subdivision as a major subdivision, say aye. Rob and John, aye. Any opposed? Were you opposing, Brenda?
No,
Oh, okay, little delay there.
That's-
All right, and any abstentions? No, so 7-0, Peggy.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
All
Jason.
right, thank you.
All right.
if I had a concern, I would have said something.
No, it was just the timing of your wave was just unclear enough. Okay. I recognize you guys. All right, who's, let's see. All right,
Really ever know if it's one, right?
next we'll call before the DRB permit number 21-303 Evernorth, located at Firehouse Drive, parcel 22503701, requesting conditional use approval for a 20-unit multifamily dwelling pursuant to Article 3, Section 350, that's the conditional use section. So who is presenting for the applicant?
I'm here, I'm Michael Patel from Christian Design Group.
Okay,
Cushman from the Cushman Design Group.
And Kevin, are you gonna be testifying?
I'm available if needed.
All right,
Samantha, do you want me to be testifying or?
Sure, you're, as a landowner, sure, yeah, and I'm here from Evernorth, sorry, not there in person
So
tonight.
Peggy, did you get Michael's name? The first, Michael, what's your last name?
Perpall, P-E-R-P-A-L-L.
Thank you.
and then have Samantha Dunn, Peggy.
Thank you. Got it.
All right, so everybody's going to testify. Raise your right hand. Oh, we have another?
Sorry, Elise Schanbacher from the Addison County Community Trust.
Thank you. Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give before this development review board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All are sworn. Okay, who's going to start us off with a summary? You.
I'm happy to kick things off. I know some of you weren't here when we came in for sketch plan review, a month and a half ago, but I wanted to again thank everyone for that time that they gave us to help with the process. I'm here from Evernorth, formerly Housing Vermont. Evernorth is partnering with Addison County Community Trust on this development to build 20 units of multifamily rental housing off of Firehouse Drive. And this is a same parcel of land that's long been envisioned as housing as part of the larger Stony Hill development, commercial and municipal. We've been working very closely with Kevin Harper and his original design team to keep as much of the originally permitted design as possible, because we know a lot of work went into it and it incorporated a lot of input from the community, and that just made sense. So what we're presenting here tonight is very similar again to that previously permitted design, just with we've got 20 units instead of 15, but actually in a smaller footprint, which does leave more space for open space and recreation. I am going to hand it over to the architects, but before I do that, I just wanted to address, I know when we came in for sketch plan review, there was some question just about how the zoning worked in the density, because this parcel is in 2 districts. And I don't know if I can pull up the parcel map or if you guys have that in front of you from the application, but and I can just talk through it. So what you see is the original residential development parcel with additional 5+ acres of land that was transferred from the town of Bristol to Stony Hill for the purpose of being able to build 20 units of housing on the site. And that is just to recognize the real need that Bristol has and we have across the state for affordable housing at a lot of different levels in our community. There we go. Thank you. So this map sort of shows the whole parcel, and the 2 different colors are just differentiating the 2 zoning districts. So in the village mixed zoning district, we have 2.62 acres where the density is 2 units per acre. And in the ROC zoning district where the density is 4 units per acre, there's 5.17 acres. So this parcel now has the capacity for 25 units, but we are just proposing the 20 units. So I wanted to make sure to address that and answer any questions about that before Mike gave an overview of the design.
Anyone have questions on the density calculation? Can't see John. Unmute if you have a question, John. He's gone. Okay, I think you can keep going, Samantha.
He did ask for
Right.
it to be nicely explained, so.
Great. So I am going to hand it over to Michael from Cushman Design to just give you an overview on the design of the property, and then We'll both be addressing some of the other questions that were raised at sketch plan and happy to answer any other questions that come up.
Okay,
We can continue with the drawing set if you want. We have an existing site plan that shows that it's a relatively flat site. Not much grading will be done to that, so it'll be about the same grading as it exists today. Here's the development plan with there's 2 parking zones. There's one to the north and one to the south along the new firehouse drive that's being installed now. The site trees and the sidewalk were approved with the business park. We're taking advantage of that to place our building. The large apartment building has 16 units. It's a 2-story building right along the driveway, right along Firehouse Drive and the sidewalk. Most of the units are 1-bedrooms. There's 2-bedroom units. There's the lower floor. The first floor units have entrances right off the sidewalk of Firehouse Drive.
do you have those, Mike? Can you show the floor plans for those?
There you are. So, tags.
I don't have you rid of the tags, I'm not gonna lie to you. Check that.
Next page, really have an elevation. We have a 16-unit building, and we have about 2 duplexes on the site behind the apartment building. Those are also 2-story buildings with flats on 2 different levels. This design is less dense than the previous design. Had back in 2019, I think it had 8 buildings that included parking structures, parking garages. Now we're down to 3 buildings. That it opens up the site to have more open space.
And so you have 10 parking spaces on Firehouse Drive and another 10 in the lot to the north?
We have 21 on-site total in 2 different locations. And then
I see.
and then I believe it's 10 on Firehouse Drive.
Well, I see, on drawing 2, I see 30.
Yeah, so.
Or unless there's arrows or
So
something.
that's the issue is the drawings, the numbers are off. There's 2 sets of drawings here. I noticed that as well.
Yeah, which is the ones we're looking at that are the new ones?
So that's why I have a quick question. This A1, there's one set here, and then later on, there's gonna be one where the gazebos were still included that were sent to me. This has the pavilion out along the back. This is the most current, correct?
That's correct.
It has a date, a plot date of February 8th, 2021. We all on the same page?
February.
Well, I'm looking at, sorry, I'm looking at.
It should say proposed site plan in the upper left corner of the printout. It's the. Double-sided printed these.
Proposed conditions site plan?
There you go. They're double-sided printed, so.
All right, so it's,
The one that says proposed civil
thank
site
you.
plan.
No, just site plan.
Yep.
Site plan.
Sheet A 1.1.
yeah, and it has a date of July 28, 2021.
That's correct, yes.
All right, so I've got 8 spaces to the south.
Yeah.
8 spaces on Firehouse Drive. And then 13 spaces to the north in the lot that comes off Firehouse Drive, right?
Yes.
So 8 and 8, 16.
We're counting the 21 on the site, the 13 and the 8 as addressing the zoning requirement of 1 per unit.
Okay,
So the 8 along the street would be additional.
I see. So the sort of dedicated parking spots for these units is the 8 space lot to the south and the 13 space lot to the north.
Yes.
Okay.
So also on this drawing, you can see interior of the lot, there's pedestrian walkways that connect the duplexes. There's the rear entrances to the apartment buildings serve the second floor units. Those would be off the courtyard side. We're showing some trees to be maintained or planted new to break up the site. There's some community spaces to the east side of the lot at the top of the page, a gazebo for community, for neighborhood gatherings, play structure, and a potential community garden. And then the rest of the lot would just likely be lawn. We have our trash collection at the south parking lot at the end of it. That would be screened.
No, I see it, yeah.
That's a single lot.
Fenced in.
Yes.
I have a comment on the trash station location.
Okay.
Just that it's right in the spot where if I were the plow guy, I'd want to push all that snow. And I just wonder if there's any better placement. This is not so much a permit thing, but just a design thing. I just noticed that I have a tight spot where I have to plow, and I wouldn't give away my straight line, for plowing. I just wonder if there's another spot where you could squeeze that makes your plow guy happy.
Yeah, there's usually some give and take between the trash collection company and the plow company where they both like that linear arrangement. So we accommodated the plow push off on the north lot and accommodated.
That was a trade-off.
the trash
Well,
company.
If you slid that thing to the north so it fronted on the sidewalk that's next to that last parking spot, you might. I'm just talking about slotting that trash receptacle area, its own length to the north. And
The hard part there would be to back the truck into to that, John.
yes, right. Okay, anyway, that's just a thought.
Great, yeah, that would be great.
So the 8 parking spots on Firehouse Drive, that's just public parking.
Yes.
Okay. And Chris, we need 21 for the units themselves.
20,
20,
I
sorry.
believe.
We added an extra space because we wanted to make sure that the 2 ADA units are located at the south end of the site. So we wanted to have the 2 spots there, but we wanted to make sure there was an ADA unit in the other lot as well, for visitors or for short-term need for an ADA spot. So that's the 21st spot that was added.
So the southernmost pair of units is ADA?
Yes.
So Samantha, the parking, and you mentioned visitor, I was discussing with the fire chief today. He just wondered how if the overflow parking from here, he has concerns it'll end up in the visitor parking area of the fire station. And it's supposed to be an inviting space, and if we have to get into the signage bit of fire parking only or things like that, it becomes a negative impact. Has anyone thought through how we can deal with that, whether it's from ACCT? Because I assume the management side of ACCT will be dealing with that side, right?
Yep. And I think that can be clearly communicated to residents. We've also had a number of conversations with Kevin and his partners about the ability to share parking further back in the parcel to, like, if for some reason there is a need for additional parking, or we talked about for accessing trail or community gardens from outside of this housing. I think there's a lot of opportunity for shared parking. So that will be a management issue to just clearly communicate where visitor parking is allowed and is not. The building does include a property management office in that space, sort of in the middle, along with a community room and community laundry. So there'll be property management presence, and parking is something I can let Elise, ACCT will be managing the property. It's something that we deal with with every community that we work within, and don't have any concerns about it working here.
And
So Samantha, go ahead.
there are 10 street parking spots there along the curb, right? Is that what I'm seeing?
8, you're on the, you gotta be on a, yeah.
And that's
Just-
not parking that's required of the development, is it? That's additional.
That's correct.
So presumably that's a good start on overflow there.
Yeah. So,
This is Milford. I would say that the rest of Firehouse Drive also has parallel parking along the entire length, and as part of the master planning team for that project as well as this project, the goal there is number 1, slow traffic down, B, have it feel more residential, C, provide the sidewalks for people to walk all the way from the town road, town highway into the park, past the housing. The planning for the parking and the street trees, given 20 years, it will feel like a residential boulevard or street, which is, I think, in Bristol's favor.
Agreed.
so Samantha, can you elaborate on the on-site property management? What the plan?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead, Elise.
Sure. So we will probably have a staff person up there several days a week. We may also share that site with a service provider providing wraparound services, extra supports. We have a family support coordinator that does a lot with community gardens. There's going to be a community garden here, so we anticipate that kind of programming going on. Generally, as a property management practice, not to go back to parking, but we do issue parking tags and definitely prioritize staying on top of that. As well, we currently manage a couple of the mobile home parks in Bristol, and are a partner in Pleasant Hills, the senior property on Mountain Street, and are hoping to take on more of a property management role in the other affordable multifamily properties in Bristol.
So there's no Monday through Friday schedule of certain hours of property manager on site?
Probably not, but I won't say definitely not. I just can't commit to 40 hours a week of ACCT staffing in that office.
So I get what the family wraparound service person does and the other service providers. What is the property manager's responsibility?
They're responsible for, they do curb appeal checks weekly at the properties. They are looking to make sure everybody has a hang tag and that their car is registered. We won't issue them a hang tag if they have an unregistered vehicle. They make sure the property is getting plowed, salted, sanded, mowed.
They handle the
Police enforcement,
exterior.
if there's noise complaints. What else?
Is the person going to have an office there on site?
Yes.
Yeah, there is an office in that.
In this area, right?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So that area, just as where the cursor was, includes, as we've been talking about, the property management office. It also includes a community laundry room for use of by residents. And then the largest space is a community room with a small kitchenette to, allow for gatherings, community garden. Folks can use that for demos, like how to make cucumber pickles or things like that. So that's a multi-purpose space that will serve the residents, and I think has the potential, if it's needed, to be reserved by other members of the community if that's ever a need in this neighborhood. There's also a bathroom in that central space, an accessible bathroom, and then a mechanical room.
Samantha, you mentioned the community garden. Will that be an actual community garden, or is that a garden for the development?
I think right now we're just holding space for it. It will certainly be a garden for the development. I think there's been some preliminary discussion with the Bristol Community Garden Program about whether or not it makes sense to expand into this area. And that is certainly an option. I think there's space for that, and that would be great.
What are the dimensions? I want to know what the dimensions of that space are.
Which space?
The community gardens.
Oh, I think it's probably a placeholder right now. Michael, I don't know if you know the dimensions off the top of your head.
I think it's 20 by 40 feet.
But there's plenty of land. It could be bigger. We'll see.
It could be much bigger if there's demand. Yeah.
If the demand is there.
Something that likes stony soil.
Well, we bring in a lot of supplemental soil. We generally try and garden in raised beds for accessibility purposes, and for that reason, to make sure that whatever gets planted is actually going to grow. ACCT has a really wonderful community garden program across many of their properties, and I think this is going to be a great addition.
Yeah, if you're on Instagram at Addison Trust, check us out. Most of our feed is probably pictures of the community gardens around our properties.
It's a good time of year.
So is anybody, can you, oh, there's John, go John.
I would just say as an overall proposition that the care and planning that you all have taken in this development is evident and welcome. And I think this is a great thing for Bristol. I think we've really looked at this project every which way we could, and I'm quite satisfied with your plan and what it will mean for the community. So good on you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Any additional questions on the big building that fronts on Firehouse Drive?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you take us through the two buildings further back?
Sure. Yeah, you want to go to their large floor plans? There's a few sheets.
Tags off.
I think it's further down.
Yeah, I was trying to turn tags
It's
off.
page 32 if you're in the PDF document.
Yeah, what plan?
30. Okay.
Plan designation. A22?
A24 looks like.
2.4.
2.4, okay.
So the two duplexes, they each contain 2 units, a unit on the ground floor and then a stair to a second story unit. There's 1 3-bedroom unit, and then the other 3 units are 2 bedrooms. We have exterior porches that are covered for little seating areas and entries, small outdoor storage closets for bikes and things like that. Exterior lighting on this building and the large building is only on the ceilings of the entry porches, so it's ceiling mounted lighting that only illuminates that area. Want to jump to the next page? There's some exterior.
So when people are walking from the parking lot to this building, is there going to be any lights there for them to be able to see where they're going?
Yes, there'll be post-mounted sidewalk lighting We included a diagram of a post mounted light. It's about 5-foot post with a down light.
Sounds good.
And they're about 25 feet apart just to light the path, the walking path.
Well, Mike, could you give me, I was flipping through pages in here. What's the breakdown for building B and C with respect to the number of units and bedrooms?
Each of those buildings has 2 units.
Okay,
Building B has a 3-bedroom unit on the ground floor and a 2-bedroom unit on the second floor. Building C has 2-bedroom units on each level. So the elevations that are on the screen now, it's pretty traditional gable look. That building peak is 30 feet high. And I think the height limit of both these zoning districts is 35 feet. The apartment building, that building is only 20 feet tall, so that conforms to the zoning district's height limit.
Is that
as
to
well.
the peak or is that to the mid ridge?
30.
Halfway up the slope,
The 30 feet is to the peak on these 2 buildings.
but the zoning reg is to the peak or
Yes.
halfway up the ridge?
to the peak.
Question, is there a fire hydrant anywhere there?
Well, there's a fire station.
Well, there's a fire
Well,
station.
I can show you where the fire,
No,
if-
no, I'm
I-
talking about,
I can show you where it is. I just happened to spend a lot of time on this fire. So Brenda, if you look at this map that we have up here, where my cursor is,
what's the label on it?
A11.
Proposed site plan?
Yep.
Okay,
So on the lower right-hand side, you've got there's the box with the verbiage in it. To the left of that, if you look on the screen here where my cursor is, there's a fire hydrant located right here.
okay, even though it's not marked on here.
No, that's part
This
of
is part of the other project.
It's not, it's a project.
I hook onto it a lot.
We know that fire very well.
I was just
Why do
wondering.
you hook onto it?
Training.
Oh,
Thank you.
We have to
Got it.
get, Tom, we have to get water in those stormwater retention ponds somehow.
oh, I see.
The gravel just hits it up so fast. before it water.
No, I was looking at the stormwater mitigation.
This
and
is a great place,
talking about it
not to be able to
flowing-
have a fire, but this would be the
overflow,
great.
which was such-
Right, there's nothing to flow.
Are you guys sprinkled in this building?
The apartment building will be sprinklered.
So on this drawing, actually, Norbert, there's the fire hydrant right here. So look at that. So,
Okay, any other questions about the big building or buildings B and C? All right, somebody want to walk us through the traffic evaluation report?
Yeah, I can do that. I know there were a lot of questions about traffic in the sketch plan review, so I wanted to make sure to address it. I think that the updated narrative does that, but happy to talk it through. We included the original, I think as Kevin Harper had mentioned, this project at the sketch plan review had previously been permitted by the town and also through Act 250 where they reviewed did a traffic analysis. And so we asked Green Mountain Engineering to just update that analysis, assuming 20 units. And that update is included in the narrative. It went from a peak average daily use of 99 trips from 132 trips. So a pretty modest change. But in addition to that, I think we included information about with multifamily affordable housing, a lot of the residents or a substantial number of residents don't actually own vehicles. And ACCT has data showing that on average, just 75% of households will own their own vehicle. To be adding to this traffic, there's a lot of use of public transportation. This is a great site for that. And that was born out of anyone has seen our newest project in Virgins on Armory Lane. Just about 75% of those households with a very similar unit mix and income mix have cars. So if you take 75% of the new analysis number, it puts you right back at the original analysis that was approved by Act 250. We also will be amending our Act 250 permit, and they'll be looking at traffic. I think the other piece of information that I included in the narrative, just for context, is that the Act 250 permit for the commercial development assumed 541 daily trips with no concern about impact on the West Street corridor, no concerns about traffic. So I think you can see scale wise that we really don't anticipate this being an issue.
Well, but it's supplements whatever traffic arises from the commercial development.
Yep.
So it's additive.
It is additive. Yep. I mean, the whole parcel is additive, obviously, to West Street.
I'm saying I was the one who drove a lot of the concern on this, but not so much because I felt that there necessarily was a substantive concern, but I was concerned that we as a board address this.
Oh, yeah, it's one of
And
the,
at that point, the narrative didn't include any information or the original report. They've added that, they brought it up to date. I still think it's a little bit of a concern because there's going to be some substantial traffic here, but I'm satisfied they did a great job. I'm good with it.
Yeah, the report carries the opinion based on the information above. It's unlikely the proposed project will cause any adverse or negative effects on the level of service on West Street corridor, period.
Exactly.
Done and done.
Exactly.
yeah. No, I get.
And this was lacking before, and we told them we really need this.
It's an issue in my mind of queuing to get out onto West Street.
Sure. Or, you know, you got the high school across the way, you've got you coming up the hill, there's, you know, it's an area of some concern, you know, obviously, so, but I think they've addressed it well.
Kevin, I hear you around this. I do, as a skill-based designer, we are all the time dealing with development and traffic. And I think in the big picture, Smith is doubling back on Tom, some of the concerns you had from a month ago is good. I would offer that the fact that there may be a little delay time would actually be seen as a good thing for a town of Bristol who wants to grow. And that you do have traffic coming across the street from the high school, which unloads at basically one time. And that I think that the big picture, I'm speaking because I care about communities, is that I think that the loading that this housing project is almost insignificant. It's insignificant compared to the capacity. I'm speaking to the larger capacity that a community like Bristol has in order to grow, provide good jobs and good housing for people to stay here. That's my 2 cents worth here.
The only concern would be if a signal was indicated. Obviously, it would be helpful to have it paid for by a developer, and it doesn't seem to be indicated right now. You know, but we all know the community well enough to know that at least it's worthy of looking into, and that's what we needed you to do.
And it's something that you may
And
have.
we needed
to
an
do.
expert to say, you know, it's not going to be an immediate problem.
Because they did a traffic study with the traffic leaving the high school, and they
Right.
found that they really couldn't predict when it was, because, well, you've got the Legion there, you've got all of these after-school activities and evening activities. And they said there was pretty high traffic almost all day. And with the businesses, if they aren't careful, if they let out at 8, if they all let out at the same time the school does, for example, it's going to be a mess. And we may need to think about what does one do for the fire trucks. Because it was suggested that I think at one point that there might be a sign down further, a signal further down the hill. the state said, no, you can't do it.
Right, and that's the other part is putting a stoplight at Firehouse Drive. That's an AOT question, and with the clearance to the intersection of the high school and with the hill itself, they had a lot of reservations when that was. I know from the high school standpoint, they said absolutely not. They don't want traffic stopped at a stoplight on the hill. So getting up a little bit further, and I don't know if that's an AOT thing. That's the state of Vermont manages that.
Brenda pointed out last time that it had been studied, and then I asked for a copy from that. Valerie got it for us, and it was helpful. But and it, it's an area of concern, so.
Well, I was thinking more about, and I'm sure you guys have thought about it, since you've got commercial development in this residential mix of uses here with businesses trying to use that road a lot. And we're trying to get those businesses up and running too. How the traffic needs of those businesses with employees coming and going. If we're gonna have issues there for there's doors business or whatever the other ones are, depending on when the shift changes are. And so
Yeah, and I think that when the school's getting out or getting in, those don't line up, fortunately, particularly on the backside.
Yeah.
Going out of
It would be helpful if they try to make sure they never do.
Kevin, I'm honoring your question.
Mhm.
And I think as the stewards, as the DRB, you're looking at each development. There is a cumulative effect over the years that does need to be considered. And I think that you are totally wise with your select board to be paying attention to how you want to think about that for the future, so that projects like what Kevin has done with the commercial piece and what Samantha is doing here, that you have a mechanism for monitoring how that actually shakes out over a period of time. And at the same time embracing sensible, careful, and thought through development, because that is what creates vitality in communities. I mean, we know that that's true. We know that the kind of development that you all have been talking about for years is a whole lot different than South Burlington, or Burlington, where you have to go way out of town in order to do whatever. And Bristol has been in many ways, very protective about herself in really, really good ways that, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be preaching, I'm adding what I think value as a lifelong planner and designer of buildings, and communities, and public spaces and private spaces. How do we meet the challenges of fitting it all together in a way that meets the goals of our community?
Nick, I'm just gonna throw in one
Sure.
thing again, the planning that the town's been doing with our planning, our town plan over the many years. It's this notion of density is sometimes rejected on the face of it. One, it's change when we're going to get too close to each other, and the other, to have the school and the workplace and where we live within walking distance of the downtown is so hard to not embrace. And the town's had this vision for decades, that land out there that's still on the flat, it's not down the hill, it's up here, walking distance where people live and where downtown has just felt right. And there will be density issues. So we will be closer to each other. We will be sitting in line once in a while, but it's happening now behind that stoplights on Main Street. Don't you sometimes go, where am I, in South Burlington? It's like, no, guys, just take it chill.
Yeah.
It's gonna take you 15 seconds, right? We're used to just
breezing through.
Going. So with that, let's keep it close together, keep the access there.
But the point both of you are making is a good one, and I would even go so far as to say, Well, Bristol has been protective, maybe a little too protective. It's taken an awfully long time to get this project developed. So I'm all in on this project. My only concern was that we be thoughtful about the traffic. And I also, I would say, we've actually approved the commercial part, it's done. So really, we can't lay this all off on Evernorth at this point, because in reality, Samantha correctly showed that we presented the earlier report, which we hadn't seen, and I appreciate seeing that, and did then show that the change between the two would be de minimis. And that is actually, this is the application that is before us, not earlier development or things that happened at the high school or the other things. Those are for the select board, not for us in this application. But that said, appreciate that, the developer of the commercial property, development of the residential property, everybody, I think, is rowing in the same direction, all trying to accomplish the same stuff.
Well,
Thank you, Tom.
we've got, my questions don't indicate, I'm adverse to it in any way. Just trying to zero in on understanding this traffic study in relation to a road that's already part of a commercial development. Which I get now. And I think we've only approved the Blairsdorf solar panel project unit so far. So if there are issues when you get to the other commercial development, we'll know that maybe there needs to, who knows, maybe there need to be a right turning or maybe right-hand lane because of people who queue going left. We've got opportunities to address that down the road when we know what those other commercial uses are going to be.
Fair point. But I think we're in a good spot right now.
John.
I would just second those comments that Tom made, and this is, to me, an ideal development for Bristol. It's perfectly comporting with our town plan aspirations, and on the issue, the care and planning that's gone into this is really exemplary, I think, which doesn't surprise me given the folks that have brought this forward and move it along. Back just for a moment to the density question. One of the ways we're going to make density work wherever, here in Bristol or anywhere, is by attending to the sort of typical neighbor issues, which are sound and light. Are big ones, and this project is, again, exemplary on both of those, where they've considered the sound impact. They have a really first-rate lighting plan that's going to keep the light on the property and be sensitive to glare and that sort of thing, just as the regs ask it to do. So, as a board, just looking at other projects going forward, at that kind of care on noise and light issues can really improve the community over time and make it a more dense place that is just as, or perhaps more desirable to live in than it is already. So I just think this is great, and I'm enthusiastic about it. I'd like to see it go forward.
Any other, have you worked your way through everything that you, in your summary, or should we?
And quit while you're ahead.
Proceed? Any other, we can start working our way through the criteria if you've done.
Are we going to do that tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You seem to be not headed anywhere. Thank you.
What?
We didn't seem to be headed anywhere. We just seemed to be talking.
They're still presenting their
Now
proposal.
we're heading forward. Okay.
So if your presentation, you covered everything that you wished
I
to?
think we've covered everything.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll proceed on with the general criteria review, 355. First is capacity of community facilities. Conditional use shall not overburden or exhaust existing or planned municipal facilities or services. Does anybody have any issues or concerns there?
No.
Well, also they have written out their answers.
To all these, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but now we have to make findings on each of these. Next one, conditional, the character of the area is the next general criteria. Conditional use may not by its nature, scale, or conduct cause an undue adverse change to the character of the area as the area would exist if fully developed in accordance with the town plan. Toward that end, the conditional use shall meet the dimensional setback requirements for the districts, the sign standards in Article 7 and any other performance standards specified in the regulations, which they would have to do even if it didn't say so here. Does anyone have any concerns with respect to the character of the area criterion?
No.
I can't see John. so-
I'm bringing them up back up. I'm sorry. Multitask it. Sorry.
So holler, I'll try and look for your hands if anybody has any comments, but number 3, traffic impacts. The estimated traffic generated by conditional use shall not exhaust or exceed the capacity of the road to accept increased traffic unless the applicant agrees to condition requiring the applicant to upgrade the road. This is going to be a town road, right?
Yes.
Yeah, firehouse traffic. Has it been accepted yet for a town road? Or is it still, I don't think so.
No, why- Really? Why do you say that?
No, I just didn't know what its status was.
I mean, it's a town road already.
That's what I was asking. Yeah. Even this far down.
It's
It was all the way
extended.
To the original property line, which we're obligated to complete, but yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Anybody have any concerns about criterion number 3, traffic impact?
No.
Number 4, compliance with regulations. Conditional use must comply with the regulations in effect at the time of the submission of the application. I haven't heard any hint that it does not do so. Anybody have any concerns about number 4? Peggy left.
I'll be right back.
All right.
She's had enough.
No concerns there, Peggy. We'll talk loud. Number 5, renewable energy resources. Conditional use shall not excessively inhibit or restrict access to or the use of renewable natural resources, including but not necessarily limited to water, sunlight for energy generation. Any concerns on criterion number 5?
Nope.
Just a comment.
Oh,
Just relating to density again, I know this whole development is going to reach a very high standard of energy efficiency. And one way to do that, of course, will be a lot of insulation in the building, which has the added benefit of sound separating and between units. And that's another thing about density as we think about other projects going forward. Energy efficiency requires thick insulation between units, and you get a sound deadening from that's superior usually and allows these sorts of denser developments to go forward. So that's something to keep in mind.
any other comments or concerns regarding renewable energy resources? Criterion number 5.
No.
Okay, we'll move on to section 356, the site specific criteria for review. Number 1, applicant shall demonstrate circulation between the site and street network is adequate to accommodate the traffic proposed. Parking and loading facilities shall conform to the standards in Article 7. Any concerns about criterion number 1?
No.
Where's Rob? Here's Rob. Okay. Number 2, safe pedestrian connections to on-site parking areas in existing or planned pedestrian facilities located on adjacent properties or along public roads shall be provided. Access points at property edges shall be coordinated with existing or planned development to provide pedestrian connections between uses. We've got lots of sidewalks to get people to downtown. Any concerns on specific criterion number 2?
Are you guys using asphalt or concrete sidewalks?
We shifted to concrete.
Right now, it's concrete. There is a chance that asphalt is usually a value engineering option, but we right now it's concrete and we hope to keep it there.
Put on my sustainability hat for a second. Concrete lasts longer and it produces less heat.
Yes.
And is greener, so.
I'd really like to see you keep concrete.
Me too. But that might help us have it not be the thing that gets value engineered out.
Well, there's trade-offs for everything. But
So don't
it is
value
greener.
engineer that
It is
change.
greener.
Anyhow, how is there's going to be a crosswalk across West Street. Does
Yeah, that's
anyone,
underway. I know that Valerie's working with that. But that's gotta be something, Chris and I, we're gonna try to find someone to engineer, design the exact location, whether it's painted stripes or does it have a signal or whatever. So that's in the works. The town is working on that.
I think they discussed that last night at their select board meeting, actually. They're in the beginning phases of figuring that crosswalk out.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Criterion number 3, applicant shall demonstrate that they have incorporated landscaping features, trees, shrubs, fences, walls, gardens, open space, and other features into a design to reduce any impacts their use of the property might have on neighboring properties and will enhance the appeal of the use proposed.
And access to the trail and community garden to boots.
Yeah.
Absolutely no problem.
And you've got a string of trees that will have a canopy, provide traffic calming. So any concerns on criterion 3?
No.
4, outdoor storage of trash shall be screened or hidden from public view. You've done that. 5, building design, applicant should demonstrate how the structure they're proposing fits within and adds to the character of the area in which it is proposed. New construction shall be compatible in design, scale, mass, and height with significant buildings within the immediate area. Any concerns on number 5?
No.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
What are you going to use for materials on the outside of the building?
I think we haven't finalized the material. It'll be a clapboard or clapboard-like material, so the elevations that show that horizontal clapboard will stay. We have not finalized the actual material yet.
Would it be hardy board or actual wood clapboard?
That's what.
Well, that's what she's saying.
That's about engineer.
It will not be wood clapboard. I think honestly, originally there was vinyl proposed for this project in the original Stony Hill development. We try not to use vinyl for environmental purposes. So we're looking at all of the options. We definitely use a lot of hardy board, and there's some other products available. So we're really looking for a long-term durability.
You're not interested in cedar, huh? It's only like $10 a square foot now.
It's really in the maintenance, yeah. It
You
won't
get
be
to paint it
cedar.
every 5 years.
No, you stain it.
So can I just go back to number 4 for a second? Yeah. The composting. With this many people, this is one of my concerns with composting. I deal with it in the village in my house. My neighbor just dumps a pile of food scraps in their backyard, basically. Well, better yet, I get rats. Rats and skunks are my two foes in my yard. Is there? I know you have trash and recycling in the driveway.
What's the plan?
Yes,
Please.
we have food scrap collection with Casella.
No compost on site?
No, there will be a sort of within that trash collection area, there'll be a compost bin that's fenced in and picked up by Casella.
But you won't have an open backyard composting pile.
No, we will not.
Okay, that's all I want to make sure of.
That wouldn't work very well.
That gets too many out.
Sorry.
No, that's a good question.
It's $108 a month for that
Any other
composting collection.
Any other questions about building design?
No, I think we vetted this last time, honestly, Kevin.
Well, we still got to do it now because this is conditional use.
We spent a fair amount of time on it, and so we're good.
Any concerns on any other questions, Ted? No?
No,
Okay.
I mean, I trust, that the texture and color of the building will be appealing to the eye, to most people.
We're in the village planning area here, right? So number 6 is specific to the village planning area in which this property is located. Shall buildings and associated site design shall reinforce rather than destabilize a defined streetscape, should be oriented to front upon a road. Landscape features, low walls, planting materials along the setback line to transition to create a line in between public right of way, the site, yada, yada. Any concerns about the design in relation to the village planning area? Seems pretty obvious. It's designed to create a defined streetscape. Any concerns there?
Good with the yada yada.
Applicant, number 7, applicant shall demonstrate they comply with stormwater requirements and adequately address drainage on site to not to create ponding on or off site. We haven't heard anything about that, engineers.
They have a stormwater collection area in the south.
And proposed, right,
Yep.
southeast corner.
southeast
They're
corner.
on gravel, it
They're on
does
gravel.
not matter.
Of course it
It's from the state of Vermont.
Of
It
course
does,
it
it
matters.
does the
No,
state of
it's
Vermont.
not, it just goes. swoosh.
I know, but they still need a stormwater
It's
permit for the
a
state of Vermont.
stormwater.
Remember that the time it
What's the story on stormwater?
The time it rained enough so that people were kayaking on
Yes, I
front of
do.
the Federated Church,
Yes,
all that water disappeared in 20 minutes.
I don't
So
care.
It's doing.
They have
The
permit.
the plan, the engineering has been done to meet
Yeah,
all the state
Yeah,
requirements.
Sure.
for
It
stormwater.
sounded
Yeah,
like it,
and-
Regardless of the fact that, as you
it
said,
drains.
it just drains away. It is still been engineered
Yep,
to meet those standards.
yep. And so where does the stormwater go?
It's in the
That southeast corner?
southeast corner.
There are ponds there or
Yeah.
some other
It's
infrastructure?
a settlement basement.
And
Okay.
remember, Kevin, it was already permitted.
Is that part of the
It's
first
part of
thing?
the, it's part of the
All
first.
right.
approval.
Look,
Yeah,
guys,
no, no,
Yeah.
I just need to get the testimony on the
Yeah,
record
we're
so I
not-
can
we're not
write,
criticizing,
so
we're
I
just
can
telling you.
write the decision.
Right.
So you'll be reapplying for an updated stormwater, correct? Yeah, because the plan has changed.
So we've got retention ponds and infrastructure in the southeast corner.
Chris, the fact of the matter is that it's gonna get smaller because there's less impervious surface.
Okay,
This project
Oh, yeah.
that's in front of us today has less impervious surface
Oh, absolutely does.
than the project that was permitted previously.
Right.
Because there's fewer roofs and there's far fewer driveway and road and parking. Southeast corner, right on the edge of.
I saw it on one of the
other
designs.
Yeah.
Number 8, exterior lighting should conform to the standards contained in 752. Any concerns there? We know John loves it, so
It
that's
got
good
by-
enough.
it got by
Yeah,
John,
We
so it's
lost
good.
John, right, we got to light
Now
it.
he's coming back.
There he is, oh, good.
He's back on 9/2/71.
Yeah. Noise shall be, they have to follow, it has to meet the section 751, which is fairly darn vague. Any concerns about noise? You know, that doesn't deal with neighbor to neighbor noise between the common wall. Signs, what do we have for signs? Any signs on for these units? Just
Samantha had an idea about that.
Samantha signs?
It was in the package. I think.
Yep, there's a sign in the package, just there'll be a single sign for the development, and I enclosed, I think, photos of 2 typical signs.
Okay,
Do we approve that now, or is that just something you do
They'll have to
later?
be-
Chris?
It's a separate sign permit.
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
standard zoning
Yeah,
permit for signage.
yeah.
But just wanted to, it'll be
But
very
that-
similar to the sign in Pleasant Hills that you have in town.
Thank you for informing us.
Hours of operation, this is residential, so don't have any hours of operation concerns. We have any additional,
Overlays?
yeah, well, with the village planning area, do we don't have, is there anything additional that it makes us look at?
Nope.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board before we move to a vote?
Looks good.
So, before, since this is conditional use, one of the conditions is gonna be conform to the design plans, and I'm a little unclear, which are the design plans that we intend to, that you intend us to tie you to.
What is that, Samantha, is there?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to understand. I think I'm realizing that probably where the discrepancy is I included the civil stormwater plan that might not have the most up-to-date footprint. So just to try and address the stormwater issue, the design plans are the plans and elevations in the packet and that have been presented by Cushman Design tonight.
Well, there was one of the, what I was thinking of, Samantha, is one of the plans had 10 parking spaces out front and different parking on the left and right. And I didn't want to create, unintentionally create confusion. So I wanted to have a clear sense of what the plans are that we'll be considering for approval by conditional use.
Yeah, so I think it's all of the drawings from Cushman Design that are dated. What was the date?
July 28th.
7/28/2021. And the other drawings are just for informational purposes to address questions, right? Like this, and so the rendering hadn't been updated. So I wouldn't include that. That's really just for context. It's the 7/28/21 drawings from Cushman Design.
Does that also include the 817 drawing?
Yes.
Which one?
Or are they the same?
Overlay of lighting.
Okay, that's the lighting plan.
Oh, the
Okay.
lighting. Yep, the lighting plan should be included as well.
What was the date?
It's the 817.
2021?
Yeah.
Make sure that.
Can we read the sheet by sheet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would really be helpful.
That would be really helpful.
It's a schematic site plan, A1.1.
Peggy, Peggy, can you hear? Whoop. Peggy,
Yes?
can you hear? We're gonna go through the plans that are gonna be part of the permit. Go, start again, Mike.
Schematic
Go ahead.
schematic site plan, A1.1. It's dated 7/28/2021.
Okay.
There's a sheet with the identical name that has a 8/17 date on it, which just has site lighting overlaid onto it.
Okay.
Also dated the same date.
No, it's 8/17.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Schematic building floor plans. A2.1.
Yep.
A2.2. A2.3. A2.4.
Yep.
Those are all dated July 28th.
Okay.
We have building elevations. A3.1. A3.2.
Okay.
Also dated July 28th.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone have a motion?
Motion to accept the proposal as is.
Second.
With the condition that pardon me?
Sorry,
Josh made the motion.
thank you.
Proposal as is,
And Tom seconded.
and then you added.
Well, the conditions, with the condition that it's built in accordance with the submitted plans just listed. I won't reiterate them here. Does anybody think any additional conditions are warranted?
Only one other one that all required state permits are also required.
Yeah, sure, they have to do that anyway, but we can make it crystal clear that state permits they must get all required permits from the state of Vermont. Any other considerations for conditions before we move to a vote? Okay, any debate for or against? We've heard, I think everyone's expressed their approval and the fact that they're impressed with this project and that it serves a town need. All right, seeing no further comments, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Rob and John are both yes. Peggy, any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Really quick.
Thanks, Samantha and Elise.
April 1st.
Great.
All right, we have some minutes to consider.
So where are they? Do we have them in our hands?
We know.
I don't, I sent. I put them out.
Thank you, folks. Nice to meet you in person.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good job.
Thank you.
Nice
So
design.
we needed the,
Did I miss the minutes in the email?
No, they didn't come.
no,
Oh, shoot.
realize that.
Can we push them off till next meeting?
Have to.
Okay,
Chris, are Peggy getting the minutes to you and you're just not getting them to us?
Yeah, I forget to send them out normally when I do the agenda, I want to say, I will send you the minutes as well.
I commented when you're out. I'll confess to them being beneficial to me to help me remind exactly what we did. So
yeah,
if we can put them in the package, I
Yeah, and
appreciate
if
it.
all else fails, if you all ever want to know what the minutes are, as soon as I get them, they get posted out to the town website.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
section under agenda and meeting minutes on the town website in the upper left-hand corner. And your meeting agenda and minutes are all listed there.
Oh, okay.
So if you ever need that,
That's good. I'll look
Okay.
from there then.
any other old business? We're gonna
No,
postpone.
just a question along those lines. How quickly are these recordings of the meetings available?
The audio and video? The
Yes.
Zoom? I
Yes.
have no idea.
it depends. Ian connected tonight, he's recording this and should get it to Neat in a couple days. The planning commission one I had last week, I'm having some technical difficulties getting it to Neat, but normally it's within a week at most.
Thanks.
All right. I think we're done unless anybody else has anything else.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Any, all those in favor? Aye.
Right. Nicely done, Mr. Chairman.
Good night, Rob. Good night, John.
Thank you, guys.
Good night,
Thank
Peggy.
you all. Thank you, Peggy.
Bye, thank you.